Hello there.
Hi, how's it going?
It's going well. I'm sorry I'm a tiny bit late. The previous interview went a little bit longer than I thought.
Oh, that's quite all right. I'm just very happy to be able to talk to you again and talk about some amazing music that you're about to be able to put out in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Oh,
But yeah, I am good to go.
oh, well, awesome. Well, it's great to be able to talk to you again. I've been so fortunate to be able to talk to you over the last several Wolfheart albums, and now being able to talk about King of the North coming out on the 16th of September through Napalm Records. I've gotten the chance to be able to check out this album for about the last week or so, and I've been a fan ever since the first album, and I just love seeing that the band just continues to progressively grow and being able to show all these different sides, and the music just keeps getting stronger, and you're able to do so much with the music. And I really feel like this is the best Wolfheart album to date so far. I just love everything that's going on with this album, and I'm so happy to be able to talk about it with you.
I'm glad to hear, and I do agree, but I'm coming from a different direction because I think every songwriter has most love towards the latest piece, at least for some time. But I know that at least we did a huge amount of work for this album, so it would be the best our album so far.
And I'm so glad to hear that too. I mean, especially with all of the work that you've been doing lately. I mean, whether it's Wolfheart, whether it's Dawn of Solace, whether it's touring. I mean, there's been a lot going on in your world lately, and to see Wolfheart continuously being able to put out music over the last few years just makes me as a fan so very excited and happy to hear all this new material.
That's good to hear.
Oh, definitely. So, with that in mind, I mean, what was it like to start writing for this album?
I was super excited to start writing because I already knew the direction where I want to head with the future album when we were finishing the Wolves of Karelia. And at that point, I already knew that I want to go a little bit more into the direction of the debut album. But when I put Vangelis, our solo guitarist and bass player, Lauri, into a lot bigger spotlight as a vocalist. And also the theme I knew already is going to be like the Finnish mythology. So there were so many interesting things of the album making ahead of me, like to wait for the theme and the be able to write for two different vocalists is a completely different process to write for melodic vocals than just for the growling. It gives a lot more options. So it was a lot more exciting than it usually has been. Not that I'm taking anything out from the previous album process, but yeah, I was really excited. And also because of the pandemic. It's the first year was really rough. We lost the previous full length and we lost one EP, but then we managed to find a completely different focus to work with this album, and that making this album was the clear highlight of the whole 2021.
Yeah, and again, from hearing everything that's been going on, especially since the pandemic, I mean, it really sounds like this album is the most inspired. I know for me personally, it's the one that I'm having the most attachment to personally. It's I hear so much emotion going on throughout this album, more than any other Wolfheart album I can think of. I'm just feeling so much emotion from the vocal lines, the guitar melodies, just everything that's going along with it. And the fact that every song is a different story and you're able to just set the mood with the music and the vocals being able to tell these stories in such a great light. It's just incredible to hear.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And and with that in mind, I mean, I'm really happy to see that you have shown more of the focus, being able to show off more of the clean vocals in Wolfheart, because I feel like it does give another layer to the music. And like you said, it's not a slight against any of the previous material, but just being able to add a new layer of instrumentation on top of this music, it really paid off.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you hear more emotions, and I think the human voice is very important factor in there because. No matter what melodies I would write for guitar or violin or piano, it would never be the same as it would be done with the human voice. Having so many different melodies on the album sung by Lauri or Vangelis brings different kind of a human touch and emotion to the same melodies. So they kind of like that brings completely another like a layer when there is more like a human sound and more like a persona of each musician. Like everybody always says that, you know, each member brings something of their own to the sound, but with their voice is in a different level. They really give well, literally, they give a like new voice for the music of the band.
Oh, it really does. And to me, it really makes it so everyone in the band is able to shine. I mean, whether it's the instrumentation that they're playing, whether it's the voices being used. I mean, when you're able to add another dimension to it, you're able to show off all these great things. I mean, whether it's your guitar playing or the growls, whether it's the blast beats, whether it's the clean vocals, whether it's the string accompaniment. I mean, there's so many great things that you can pick apart on this album, and the more that you listen to it, the more you're able to pick up on these details, which I truly appreciate.
Yeah, it's always like a very clear goal when coming to the production and the mixing and the arrangements to be able to add the layers. The more that when somebody listens to the song first time and the 100th time, there's something that you can still find and learn. Like there has to be this like a hidden things in a way that it cannot like I think is a bad sign that if you hear the song the first time, you hear everything about the song already. That means it's very shallow and just one dimensional. So that's what we really try to do also is add the layers to the music.
And again, you know, from the fan perspective, I love the attention to detail that you do put into every album that you are a part of, and just being able to sit down with this particular album and just being able to really focus on it with every listen, whether I'm trying to pay attention to the story, whether I'm paying attention to the melodies and harmonies that's going on. I mean, there's so much to it. And the fact that you were also able to get a couple guest musicians a part of this as well, too, you know, one being able to show off his great voice with Jesse Leach, and of course, with a great instrumentation of Carl Sanders. I mean, it was great to be able to see what they were able to contribute to this album.
Yeah, and both like the whole having guest vocals on the album was completely an accident. It was never supposed to happen. There was even our management and was asking like, would we be interested of having some guest vocals or something, guest musicians on the album? And I said no, definitely no. That I definitely don't want to have anybody else in the band because I already have 2 new vocalists. We have 3 different vocals, so I don't want to like put them into the shadow or anything. So, but what happened is. This one Russian fan sent me a link to Jesse's Instagram stories last October, and he had one of our songs in the background. And me being a huge Jesse's like a fan as a vocalist, I had to write a comment that it's a nice choice of song. And then he replied to me telling that he's been a fan of Wolfheart for years, and our music was introduced to him by one of his friends. And he was asking like how things are going, is there new music coming out and everything. And at that time we were already in the studio mixing the album. So, and he was telling like Wolfheart style would be something he would really enjoy singing, and that would be really like his style to do. And it just, the whole conversation just slipped into direction that suddenly he was doing vocals for the album. So it was like not planned at all. But I'm insanely happy that it happened, and I'm really like I think it's super cool how it happened. That it's just like with conversation, just like ended up in the situation where I'm just writing lyrics for him, and he's doing demos in his own studio. And then when that already happened, I kind of like steered away from the decision that I made. So it was easy to think about another options, and then Carl was a perfect choice for this very monster growling part in the song Cold Flame. I actually even tried to do that myself, but I can't get that low. Like I do Scandinavian growling, let's put it that way. We wanted to have an American growling. There's quite a big difference in my ears. So yeah, both guests came from a completely different direction, different stories, and originally it was never supposed to happen.
It's amazing how that can work out. I mean, yeah, just like you said, you know, just like from seeing something online to being able to rewrite what became a single for the album, and just being able to bring a different light to a song that you thought you already had done, and just now being able to see it in a different way. I mean, that's so cool to see that.
Yeah, and it's I really love about the way that these kind of stories get to be like a big part of the good memories of the album making. Like I'm gonna tell the Jesse story for years. I'm sure. So it's not just that we went to the studio and we followed the plan and things happen as they were supposed to happen, but there is this kind of like things happening around the plan that changes everything and still like makes everything better.
Oh, absolutely. So thinking about that as well too, I mean, obviously, like you mentioned that you were in the mixing phase when all of this started to happen. How different was the song before Jesse was able to add his parts to it?
That's a really good question, because that's one of the things that changed quite much, because when that conversation went in the direction that I realized that he's actually probably doing some vocals with us, which I didn't like expect at all. The songs were already done. I already had all the vocal lines recorded. We were already mixing. So I actually wrote the song on the spot. That song was not existing before that conversation. And 2 days later, I had the demo that I sent to Jesse. So I was basically able to write like customize a song to fit from mine and his vocals, which I think is the coolest thing ever as a songwriter, to know that this song is going to be partly sung by one of my idols, and just having those ideas running in my head while going through different riff ideas and rhythmics, how his vocals could work on this kind of blast beat thing, and how, you know, just this kind of mind play, like already in that part of the process where the most of the creative work is done. And I could actually get to dive back into the writing process in the middle of the mixing. So yeah, it changed the album that much that it actually brought one new song to the album.
And I love the fact that inspiration was able to hit you that quickly as well too. I mean, the fact that you had that in 2 days and it turned out as magnificent as it does too. And I think it's such a great song to be able to show off the album. Again, it's just like it happened from an accident, but it was one of the best things that could have happened for the album.
Exactly. I fully agree. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. And, of course, everything else that's going on with the album as well, too. I mean, audibly, I love everything that's going on, but visually as well, too. I love what's going on with this album cycle. Everything from the videos to the album artwork, just everything just feels so striking and so appropriate for the album cycle this time around. What was it like to start working on those visuals, like for the album artwork and for the videos?
It was super inspiring and exciting, because the previous album was a theme album about the war, so that kind of narrows the options visually quite much. War is war. War means battle and guns and bombs and stuff like that. It doesn't really give much room for imagination or adventures and stuff like that. But when the topic is Nordic and Finnish mythology, that just is like the range is really huge at what you can visually do. And I got really excited. I even bought the bear skin that we used in the videos, just to have that on the video. In our promo pictures, there's a custom made wooden throne that is in my car still, because I've been driving around Finland and doing these short promo clips and just putting this chair in different locations. But it was super, super exciting, because I knew that now we can just again do this like outdoor and like more cinematic videos. And we went to Lapland. We went to different locations in northern Finland. So yeah, it was so cool to go back to like this northern and nature-based themes on the songs, because that allows me to take the videos also to similar surroundings.
And yeah, once I saw that promo picture for the first time with that throne, my jaw dropped at how gorgeous of a throne that is. And it just fits so perfect thematically with the band. And I'm so glad that it was able to be made and you're able to show it off the way that you have, because it's so appropriate.
Yeah, it's going to be more visual on the third video that comes out next week. That's like the ending thing of the story is where the whole throne was made and built for, but we decided to use that also in the promo pictures, because when you have a throne like that, of course you want to use it, because it is, like you said, it's just gorgeous. There's a small what is the word in English? The people who build stuff from wood. I just lost the word. Carpenters, yeah. It's more like custom carpenter company that makes this kind of Viking stuff, like chairs and tables, beds, whatever. And just knowing that it's only one in the world of those kind of thrones, and that's ours is also super cool.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm so glad that's going to be featured again next week. I was very curious to see if there was going to be another single off the album, and the fact that there will be and you're able to show that off more. I'm very excited for next week.
Yeah, glad to hear.
Oh, definitely. So, of course, with like all of these great things that are happening, I mean, being able to show off this great album, fantastic vocal guest spots, universal praise that I'm seeing online for the singles so far. With the album coming out next week, like what's going to be going on after the release of the album?
We're gonna play one club show in Finland as album release show, just like a few days after the album release. Then we're gonna start a European tour with Insomnium, Moonspell, and Borknagar, 29th of September. Actually, there's gonna be one American opener called Hinaina, really cool guys, and then before Christmas, we aim to do a lot of like these weekend trips that been postponed for like 2 years now because of pandemic. We want to go to Greece, Turkey. Russia is off on the table, sadly. Things happen in Ukraine that are not very cool. But and we have North American tour already confirmed, but I'm not allowed to tell the details yet. But that's going to happen in the beginning of next year. And right after the North American tour, we are heading back to Europe. And the agency has already booked the festival season for the next year. So now it finally looks like going back to normal busy touring schedule after 2 years of waiting.
And that just makes me so happy to hear that. I mean, obviously with the last few years and everything that's been going on in the world and still going on, like you mentioned with the Ukraine, you know, it's just like, I'm so happy to see at least in some aspects that we're starting to get back to some kind of normalcy. And the fact that you're going to be coming back here next year on what I'm sure is going to be such a killer tour, and I hope comes my way. I'm so happy to hear that North America is back on the table again.
Yeah, I like I said, I can't tell in details, but it's a really good package. We are really excited. It's going to be the biggest and best tour for us so far. So it's something also really to look forward for the band.
Oh, and just hearing you say that, I mean, you absolutely deserve like that kind of exposure. You know, whatever that's going to be when that's announced, and you know, obviously, you know what's going on. But you know, if as long as everything goes in that right direction, I'm just so happy to see that's going to be happening and being able to hit the other territories of the world as well too. Because as much as I love everything that's going on with this record, I want to hear it in that live setting, and I'm so glad to see that everything is in the works to make that happen.
Yeah, and it's the frustration, like losing one album and one EP for the pandemic, not being able to tour with those songs. I think it would be devastating this time if we wouldn't be able to start playing these songs live. Because yeah, that's a huge part of for a songwriter and a band. That once the album is done, you get to like show the music live to the fans, and if you lose that opportunity, that makes the whole album kind of disappear. And that's the last thing I would want to see now. But luckily, things look better. Who knows what happens, but it does look better now.
Oh, for sure. And thinking about that as well too. I mean, obviously, with all these great things that are happening with Wolfheart, is there anything else that's going on outside of Wolfheart? Like, is there anything new that's going on with like Dawn of Solace, or are you just focusing on Wolfheart right now? What's going on?
Well, now that you ask, it came out today, the new single of Before the Dawn. And we today we announced like a full comeback with the new lineup, and I already got the first festival shows confirmed for the next year. We already started recording the new album. I'm heading to studio day after tomorrow to do the guitars. The drums are already done, so that album is actually like quite far already in the making. So that has been happening in the background. But today was the first announcement and the first single and first peek behind the curtain, because there's a new lineup and there's a new vocalist. So that's been quite a big thing for me to work in the shadows so far.
Well, in just a couple minutes when I wrap this up, that's the first thing I'm going to do is check that out. That makes me very happy, because I love the fact that you brought back Dawn of Solace. I love the work that you've done with the band since you brought it back, and you know, just seeing how busy you are between both bands and everything else that you do, it makes me so happy to be able to see that you're able to show off all these different sides of your musical personality.
Yeah, me too. And now things are in a completely different balance and level that it used to be when I disband all the bands. So like each band is getting like a proper fresh start also. So it was really frustrating 10 years ago with things now. But I still love the music. I was sad to lose the connection with the music and not being able to play the songs. Now I get the songs back, and so it's a lot of like good things seem to be happening now.
Oh, and again, from the fan perspective, I'm just so happy to hear that. And I just I can hear it in your voice how happy you are truly about all of that, and it makes me happy for everything that's going to be happening in the future. And with that, I think that's a great note to end on. And I got to thank you so much for once again taking the time to be able to talk to me. It's been great to be able to talk with all of these fantastic Wolfheart albums up to now, and what again, like we've talked about, like I feel like this is my favorite Wolfheart album to date, and it's got me excited for the future as well. And of course, King of the North coming out through Napalm Records next Friday. I'm so excited for everyone else to be able to hear it. I've been so honored to be able to listen to this album and really be able to dissect it and just enjoy it so much. And right after this, being able to check out everything that's going on with Donna Solace. Yeah, just all these great things happening. And it's just been awesome to be able to talk to you about all of it.
And hopefully we get to talk more when the new Before the Dawn album comes out, which is like it's going to be latest like late spring 2023, so not that far from here. So hopefully we get to talk within a year again.